Aloha, Commanders, and welcome to Later Tonight with Dr. Iron Chef, hosted on Aloha Diz.
Please be sure to follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube for all the latest content.
Today we discuss the new blog post from Star Trek Fleet Command.
Straight from the Scopely shipyards, this time it's all about performance.
Yeah, they really seem to be focused on making things run smoother in the game.
Absolutely. And, performance is king, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the middle of like a huge battle and things start to lag.
Don't even get me started. The frustration is real.
Right, so this blog post, it's called Game Performance Update, Station Resource Change. Have you had a chance to check it out?
Oh, yeah, I dove right in. You know me, I love getting into the nitty-gritty of these updates.
So for those who haven't read it yet, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, in a nutshell, they're changing how station resources behave after they've been completely drained in a raid.
Okay, so like when you've blasted a station until it's bone dry.
Exactly. You know how sometimes you'd still get those tiny little scraps of resources even though the bar was empty?
Like almost comically small amounts. It never really seemed to make a difference.
Right, and that's exactly what they're addressing. The old system was still calculating and generating those minuscule amounts even though they were practically invisible to us.
So all those extra calculations for essentially nothing.
Yep, and think about it. All those tiny checks across all the servers with tons of players raiding stations. It adds up.
Kind of like death by 1,000 paper cuts for the server infrastructure.
Exactly. They even compared it to a stadium full of people all tapping their feet. One person, it's no big deal, but thousands could cause some serious shaking.
Okay, so they identified the problem,
Okay.
but how did they go about measuring the impact?
Well, they dove into the data and looked specifically at battle durations, particularly those that lasted 5 seconds or longer.
Their thinking being that those longer battles were often a sign of lag caused by all the background resource checking.
Right, and the results were pretty impressive. They reported a 38% reduction in those prolonged battles after implementing this change.
Wow, 38%. That's huge.
It is. It really highlights how this seemingly minor mechanic was contributing to performance issues. And it wasn't just the long battles. They also saw a 43% improvement in battles lasting 3 seconds or more.
So overall, a pretty significant boost.
For sure. And the best part is they confirmed that those tiny leftover resources weren't actually impacting anyone's overall resource gathering.
So it's not like they're taking away anything valuable.
Well, just streamlining the system and eliminating unnecessary processes.
Which is great for everyone. I mean, have you ever been in a raid where you're just hammering away at an empty station hoping for a few more scraps?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like trying to squeeze water from a stone. This change puts an end to that endless tapping.
So when they talk about relieving server infrastructure, what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, it's likely a combination of things. Each time we hit a station, the server has to process that action, check the resource level, and update the information in the database.
And with so many players doing that constantly, even a small task can become a bottleneck.
Exactly. This update reduces the strain on the database by eliminating those unnecessary checks on empty stations.
So freeing up resources for more critical game function.
Right. It's all about optimization, making the system run as efficiently as possible.
It's amazing how such a seemingly small detail can have such a big impact.
It is. It really highlights the challenges of managing a massive online game like Star Trek Fleet Command.
I mean, it's a complex system with so many moving parts.
Absolutely. And the developers are constantly working behind the scenes to identify and address these hidden bottlenecks.
Oh, it's like fine-tuning a giant, intricate machine.
Yeah, and this update is a perfect example of that.
Now, I find it interesting that they chose to highlight this technical update in a blog post.
Me too. It shows a commitment to transparency.
Right, they're giving players a peek behind the curtain.
Exactly, and helping us understand the work that goes into maintaining the game.
Because, let's be honest, not every player is interested in the technical details.
True, but it does build trust and shows that they're actively working to improve the game.
Even in ways that might not be immediately obvious.
Right, so to be clear for everyone listening, what exactly is not changing with this update?
Yeah, sometimes these announcements can make players a little nervous.
I get that. But rest assured, the core gameplay of raiding stations remains untouched. You'll still target stations, engage in combat, and receive resources based on the station's level and your power.
So the only difference is that once a station is empty, it's truly empty.
Exactly. No more pointless tapping for those last few invisible resources.
Which, from a player's perspective, is really a non-change.
Right. You're not losing anything, but the game should run smoother, especially during those big events like Infinite Incursions.
Where everyone's waiting like crazy.
Exactly. This update should help reduce lag and improve stability during those peak peak times.
So a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely.
They also encourage players to share their feedback on Discord and the community forums.
Which is always great to see.
It shows that they value player input even on technical updates.
Absolutely, because player experiences and observations can help identify any unforeseen issues.
So it's a collaborative effort.
For sure.
So the big takeaway here is a smoother, more efficient Galaxy to play in.
Absolutely. And while it might not be the most exciting update, it's a significant improvement.
It's all about the nuts and bolts of the game.
Right, making sure everything runs smoothly.
It's easy to take those things for granted, but it's important to appreciate the work that goes into it.
Definitely. It's a reminder that there's a lot happening behind the scenes to bring these virtual worlds to life.
So to wrap things up, be sure to follow Dr. Iron Chef on Twitch and subscribe to Aloha Dis on YouTube.
Mahalo for joining us.